All right, well, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight. I especially want to thank our candidates who are running for the school board this year. In case you're not aware, this is not a paid position. So I think that's a misconception that we sometimes have. So anybody here is donating their time to help our kids. My name is Lisa Creekpalm. I am not affiliated at all with the Tumwater School District, with the exception of I'm an alumni and I also have children attending the school. The sole purpose of this meeting is so that we can provide information, education, and just give you an idea of who our candidates are running for our school board, so that you can make those decisions when you're voting. Next slide, please. Thank you. So the purpose, as I said, this is a community forum. It's solely to provide the community with information. This is not a debate. So if you came here for a debate, that is not what we're doing today. We're going to start off with candidate introduction. So you get to hear our candidates tell you a little bit about themselves, their background, and why they're running. We will then go into some candidate Q&A, where we will ask the candidates 4 questions each. They will each have a minute, 30 seconds to respond to each question. And then at the end, we'll just do some closing statements. Okay, introductions. Next slide, please. All right, so we're going to start introductions, starting with District 1. This was very strategically put on the screen like this. We'll start with District 1, go to District 3, 4, and 5. So they're in district order alphabetically by first name. So let's start with Julie.
Good evening, and thank you for holding this forum. It's really great to have this opportunity. I'm Julie Watts. I'm running for School Board District 1. I'm a public policy professional with over 25 years experience helping state leaders understand the real life impacts, right, of what kind of decisions they're making when they're making policy choices. I'm running because I'm a lifelong supporter of public education. I'm a product of public schools, and my husband and I have always sent our kids to public schools, including here in Tumwater. Our kid attended Black Lake Elementary, Tumwater Middle, and now Black Hills High School. As the Deputy Director for Government Affairs for the Department of Children, Youth, and Families, I feel that I'm really can bring a lot of my professional experience to the school board. I'm skilled at analyzing budgets, and we know that we need to address the shortfalls in the district budget and to build sustainable budgets for the future, and I'm happy to talk more about that tonight. We also need to ensure that our schools are places where our students feel safe and know that they belong. That's a cornerstone of why I'm running, safety and belonging for all of our kids, especially for those kids who face barriers to inclusion. I'll also just say that I'm endorsed by the Tumwater Education Association, the Paraprofessionals Union, and the union that represents our staff. Our educators know I support them, and that's why they're supporting me. So thank you, and I look forward to the conversation tonight.
Thanks, Julie. Sarah?
Hi there. My name is Sarah Overbay, also running for District 1. I'm a mom of 6 and a licensed foster parent. We have been in the district for about 12 years now. I've had 2 kids graduate from Tumwater High School. I've got 1 there now and 3 more coming through. I've been volunteering with the district for almost as long as we've been here. I've served on the Budget Advisory Committee and most recently the Equity Committee. And really, I'm running for school board because I've actually been thinking about it for about 5 or 6 years. I'm naturally curious, and I've enjoyed learning the ins and outs of school funding and operations of a district via like the school board meetings. So I just wanted to give the community an option of someone who has been invested in the district for many years. So thanks.
Thank you. Daniel?
Hi, I'm Daniel Mies. I'm running for District 3. I am a dad. I'm not a politician. I'm not polished. I don't have a manager or anything like that. But I'm a dad. I graduated 3 students through the Tumwater system, 2 at Black Hills and 1 at Tumwater High. And I have a 5-year-old who's currently at Peter G. public education is very important, and I want to make sure that it's a place for every student to be able to get an education. And I'm ready to represent the public in this role. Thank you.
All right, Ty.
All right, I'm Ty Kuehl. I'm currently on the board. I was appointed just over a year ago, in August of 2024 in District 3. I am a lifelong Tumwater person. I grew up here, went to elementary school, middle school, and graduated from Tumwater High School through this district. This district has made me who I am. I love it enough where, although I've left briefly over the years, I managed to get married and come back to this area. I have 4 children, 2 of which are in the district, and 2 more that'll be in the district in the coming years. So I've got quite a bit of skin in the game, so to speak. To me, this is just such a wonderful, amazing community, and I've been honored to just be on the board for the last year, and trying to make the best impact I can. I definitely want to say that I'm student focused. I want to make decisions that help every student in our district be successful and set them up ultimately for success and to make them better human beings in life. So, Lisa, thanks again for putting this together, and the other gals with you. Look forward to the rest of this conversation, and we'll go from there. Thank you.
Thanks. Aimee?
Yes, good evening, Lisa, and thank you so much for holding this forum. I think it's an extremely important thing that we're all doing, and I appreciate your time in putting this all together. Again, my name is Aimee Staudt, and I'm running for the Tumwater School Board because it's time to use common sense and put education first again. Our schools need to focus on teaching kids to read, write, and think critically, not on political and social agendas. Right now, test scores are failing, budgets are strained, and parents are losing trust in the system. As a board member, I'll make it my priority to raise academic standards, improve student performance, and fix our budget responsibly, ensuring every dollar goes where it belongs, which is back in the classroom. My opponent, Melissa Beard, has been on board for 9 years. Unfortunately, she has not demonstrated the leadership needed to get our district back on track. Previous to her being a board member for Tumwater, she worked as the director of finance for the Staudt board, which she resigned after Staudt had a serious financial issue, resulting in a $5 million deficit. Recently, she also resigned as president of the Tumwater board when a difficult social issue was being addressed. Tumwater is in now a $7 million deficit. It seems as if Melissa keeps resigning when things start to get tough. And I hate to say that, but it's what's happening. We need a leader who is going to face these issues straight on, not leave a district in shortfall. I never anticipated running. Like Daniel said, I'm not a politician. I'm a mom of 4, 2 of which have graduated Tumwater High School and 2 who are going to be going through or currently in the district now. I believe parents have the ultimate right to be involved in their children's education. We need to return to transparency, give families a voice to make sure schools partner with and not replace our parents. Schools should be a place where students learn safely, think freely, and grow in character, not where they're influenced by ideological or political agendas. And that's what's happening. I'm running to restore common sense, protect parental rights, and refocus our schools on excellence and truth. I believe if we use common sense and bring accountability and integrity back to Tumwater, that all is possible. So thank you again for having me.
Melissa.
Hi, thanks, Lisa. I'm Melissa Beard, and I'm running for re-election to position 4. I'm a proud Peter G. Tumwater Middle and Tumwater High School graduate. I got on the school board in 2016 because I wanted to give back to the district that gave so much to me. I also wanted to serve because I had classmates who didn't have like the most positive experience in Tumwater. So I wanted to help make Tumwater a place that served our students. So why would I run again? So I decided to run again because we have adopted a sustainable budget, and we've adopted a strategic plan that I'm really excited about. I have degrees in education policy and leadership, and my background includes work with education data, school district budgets, and advocating for the legislature. I bring these work experiences and education to this position, and I just believe Tumwater is truly the best place, and I want to keep serving.
Thank you, Mike.
Hello, thank you for having this forum tonight. It's really important to communicate with the people out there. My name is Mike McGowan, and I am running for the Tumwater School Board District Number 5 position. I am a 37-year, I have lived in Thurston County and have moved to the Tumwater School District a little over 11 years ago. I moved here with my daughter and my 2 grandchildren. Both my grandchildren attend Tumwater schools, and they're the first reason why I'm involved in this. Previous to moving to Tumwater, and we did so, among the most important reasons was the good rating for the school systems and the reputation that it had. That was an absolute high on our list priority. Before that, I lived in Yelm for 27 years. Well, in Yelm, I worked for the Timberland Regional Library, the Yelm Library, where I worked in youth services and information, and had much to do in a partnership with the Yelm School District. So I have experience with school districts that way. I also served 9 years on the Yelm City Council. And during that time, I was chair of the Thurston County Home Consortium, and that no longer exists, but it did deal with federal and state funding for affordable housing and homelessness. And so there was a lot of budget issues there. While on the city council, I also was on the budget committee for 9 years. So again, I have experience both in public education and experience with budget matters. And I want to bring that experience to the Tumwater community right now. So got interested in this without really thoughts of running, frankly, when my granddaughter told me about some incidents, and I went to a school board meeting, and as I dug deeper, I said, they need help, and I want to give it. So that's my main reason. Starts with my grandchildren, moves to the rest of the children, and then further out to educators and families and the taxpayers. Thank you once again for having me here this evening.
Sure, thank you. And last but not least, Rob.
Thanks for having me. And my name's Rob Warner. I'm a proud Michael T. Simmons graduate, the old Michael T. Simmons, Tumwater Middle School when it was called Tumwater Junior High, and Tumwater High School. My parents are Tumwater graduates. My grandparents, my great-grandparents all attended Tumwater schools. So my family's been here for a long time. The 7th generation is, I've got 2 grandkids that are in elementary school in Tumwater School District. So our roots run deep here, and I care deeply about the school. My 4 kids graduated from Tumwater. Once they were gone, I wanted to spend some more time at the school with the kids. So I started substitute teaching and coaching. I coached for several years at the high school. I subbed at many of the various schools across the district. Had no intention of running for the school board. After conversations with teacher friends and administrator friends and parents, decided that this was the right time. So threw my hat in the ring. And so I'm excited to be running for position 5. Thank you.
Thank you for that. We are ready, I think, to start getting into the questions. Before we start, though, I will let you know there's a timer on each slide that we will be selecting. If you're in the middle of a sentence, when the timer goes off, go ahead and finish that sentence, but please be respectful of your other candidates. We want to make sure that the people calling in get to hear everybody's responses. Without further ado, the first question is for Melissa. What is your top priority in the next term if you are elected or reelected? And what will you do as a school board director with regards to this top challenge?
Thanks. My top priority is to bring our district back together so we can focus on academics. I've talked with a lot of families in the district, and they want the board to focus on what's important. So supporting our educators through budget and policy and creating a culture where we can connect. I truly believe that the majority of us, I actually believe all of us share similar goals for our students. And Tumwater has instilled a love of learning in me. So I love learning from other people. And creating this connection is important to me so we can make sure that we have policies that serve our students. I don't think, I think if we keep students at the center of this, I think we can find a solution. And creating this connection isn't probably going to happen in the boardroom. That's an intimidating place, but I think it's going to happen in schools and in the community with families and students. And I just really look forward to doing that work. And that's my priority.
Thank you. Next for question 1 is Rob.
Well, my top priority at this point is school enrollment. Enrollment's down significantly. Public school enrollment's down in many places, but in particular in Tumwater. And the last board meeting kind of presented an alarming trend where we were 90 or so students below budget, and budget's a significant part of what we as the board are responsible for. So I think it's also our responsibility to find out why the parents are, number one, taking their kids out of public school, or number two, when it's time for them to enter public school, not enter. We have a growing population in Tumwater, but we have a declining attendance in public school, and I think we need to find out why that is.
Thank you. Julie.
Finding the unmute. Sorry. Yeah, my top priority is really to restore the faith and the trust between the school board and the Tumwater School District community. On a variety of fronts over the last few years, I think that trust has eroded. Our educators have not felt that the school board really values the relationship with their employee unions. Our high schools have felt pitted against one another in the distribution of resources, especially in sports. More recently, our LGBTQ community and their allies have felt marginalized by the board. And many people have been concerned about the way the board has been holding meetings in ways that kind of violate both the spirit and the letter of the Open Public Meetings Act. So I just really want to make sure that we continue to meet in person, that we hear all public comments. The school board can always extend the public comment period. They can always extend additional opportunities for people in the public to be heard. And we can listen to one another, even when we disagree. We can treat each other with respect and talk through our differences of opinion. So that's my top priority, is restoring that faith and trust with the community.
Thanks, Julie. Daniel.
It sounds like a lot of us have the same top priority, but maybe looking at it in slightly different ways. My top priority is to restore public confidence in the Tumwater School District, specifically that it's for everyone, including marginalized groups. The way that I would go about trying to address that top challenge to restore that confidence is rescind, hold accountable, and affirm. So rescind the February 27th vote that shocked the nation. Hold staff accountable for when they're representing Tumwater to make sure that they're not presenting bullying or discrimination or anything like that. Hold them accountable and affirm our values of being the inclusive town, the founding town within Washington State as a whole that originally formed for the sake of including a minority, a small marginalized group. That's totally my top priority to restore that confidence that Tumwater education is for all students.
Thank you. Sarah.
Yeah, so as a school board member, the priority for me is always going to be education and skill mastery. So we can send these graduates into the world with the skill set they need to be productive citizens and lifelong learners. With the district's new adopted strategic plan, I think that will be extremely useful to the board to serve as a roadmap with measurable outcomes. Specifically for me, the areas I want to ensure we're keeping our focus on are first, the early literary standards by the end of third grade. So I'm interested in reviewing our policy for third grade retentions. I've seen other states showing promise with this approach. I just think we have to ensure our kids are able to read to learn as they move into middle grades. The other area is the percentage of ninth graders on track to graduate. Our latest district stat showed just 75% of freshmen were on track to graduate. And so I just don't think we can be losing 1 out of 4 kids that early in high school. So like, how can we ensure we're promoting attendance, transitioning those kids well from 8th grade, and connecting with the families to keep kids on that steady road to graduate? So for me as a board member, I just want to focus our efforts on those educational outcomes and keep those kids moving forward.
Thank you. Mike.
Yes, the Tumwater School District is facing many challenges right now, and several of these issues will be addressed in more detail in questions 2 through 4. So what these issues of equity, budget, safety, and a welcoming community, they intertwine, and how they can be improved and how they can be addressed is with improved communication. And improved communication is my top priority because it will address all these concerns. How to do this? Well, first off, public meetings that are accessible, but also going to the people. Communication is a two-way street. So we need to communicate, but we also need to listen to what our students, our teachers and educators, our parents and families, and our taxpayers have to say about where they want things to go, what is their input. So we must make it available through, again, very accessible meetings, but also forums and surveys to find out what it is that the people want us to address. So that is my top priority, is communication, improving that communication.
Thank you. Hi.
All right. So I guess I'll just say the main priority for me is obviously the budget. It drives everything. Now you'll hear this in a minute because question 2 is directly related to the budget, but I want to talk about a couple of the things that are that are dynamic parts of the budget. Rob touched on this a little earlier, but we have declining enrollment everywhere. In our ESD, there's 44 schools, 44 school districts, all but 3 have declining enrollment. So I think we've got to figure out what's going on there, talk to the families, talk to to all the stakeholders, understand why they're leaving, and be able to figure out how to market this school district and how to add the courses we need to add or add the programs we need to add, keep the kids involved. And as you know, our budget is directly impacted by the number of students we have. So I think having a school district that people want to be a part of, they want to move to our community to be a part of, is a big deal. if they're part of our community, they have access to these great programs. They have sports, they have music. They have all these opportunities, and if kids are involved, it's a proven track record of if you're involved, you're more successful as a student and in life. So more opportunities.
Thank you. Aimee.
Yeah, thank you. My top priority is refocusing our schools on academic excellence and parental involvement. Students deserve a strong foundation in reading, writing, math, science, and civics, not distractions from the core mission of education. As a school board director, I'll work on ensuring curriculum transparency, support teachers in maintaining high academic standards, and make sure the parents have a clear voice in what their children are being taught. Education should unite our community around shared goals, not divide us with politics or social agendas. So thank you.
Thanks.
All right, question 2. This district is facing a significant budget deficit. What immediate actions would you take to address it? Ty, you're first for this one.
All right. Kind of like I just alluded to, obviously the budget is a massive driver here, but how do we address this? We have to make student first, we have to make, student first data-driven decisions. We have to make sure that any kind of budget cuts or anything that we have to cut is as far away from the classroom as we can make it. We want students to continue to have access to all of their classes and their programs, their extracurriculars. We don't want to lose any of that. Like I alluded to earlier, the more kids are involved in different programs, whether it's sports or other extracurriculars, clubs, any of that kind of stuff, every data that I've ever been able to see shows more success in those students. I think another big thing is unfunded or not completely funded mandates through the state. So think of like covering transportation or our liability insurance for the district that's doubled over the last couple of years to 1.5 million roughly. Our MSOCs, our special ed is not fully covered to serve every student we have. So we need to continue to push the state and the legislature and advocate for fully funded education across the board so that we can manage and get our budget complete and full.
Thank you. Sarah, you're next.
Yeah, so as far as immediate actions, I would just say that we need to make sure we're being as transparent as possible with the community and our taxpayers. I noticed our website is missing some key data and the independent financial review of 2022 wasn't linking. Then as we look to continue making cuts, I think like Ty said, it needs to be farthest from student learning. So that would typically mean potentially district office and administrative staffing. Asking questions like, how can we be more efficient in staffing? Can we consolidate services amongst our schools? Can we potentially use AI to streamline any services? Are we spending wisely on teacher trainings? I'd also promote a collaborative approach on any educator cuts. I thought the district did a good thing this spring by listening to the community and retaining a percussion teacher that was valued. I'm also interested in ways to partner with the community to fill in any gaps of student experience that we may have to cut. So whether that means private funding for equipment or potentially partnering with like community colleges to provide tutors in exchange for college credit, I just think we got to try to be creative in supporting our student learning outside of those budget restraints. I know it's not a unique position for Tumwater. I just think it's going to take leadership continuing to ask hard questions to get us back on track.
Rob?
Well, I think the budget obviously is tied to enrollment. And since that's my main priority, I'll answer this question sort of the same way I answered the last one. But the only way to fix budgets are to either increase revenue or decrease spending. And in my view, the school district's done a great job of managing resources and budgeting and those kinds of things, at least as it pertains to dealing with what's coming. I think that we missed it on the assuming how many students we're going to have for the budget, particularly this year. So, I mean, there's another $1 million that they talked about at the last school board meeting deficit that wasn't expected. So I think that if we're taking care of costs, then we need to increase revenue. And unfortunately, revenue is tied to enrollment. A majority of our budget comes from the state, and the state allocates funds based on enrollment. So I think that we need to focus on why the students are not coming. And I think a lot of it has to do with focus in the classroom that are not education related, that I think people are tired of.
Mike?
You know, I've done a fair amount of forums and meetings and Zoom accounts in the last couple months. And as the days get back this time of day most of the time, and as the days are getting shorter, and my light isn't as good, I'm afraid I may disappear before this meeting's over, but I'm trying to improve the lighting. As mentioned, the budget deficit is going to be directly related to enrollment. And as also mentioned, any sort of deficit, you either have to increase your finances or you have to decrease your expenditures. So enrollment is an issue, absolutely, and that's something that's not going to change overnight. Trends that I've seen vary. I've seen some that show an uptick in growth in the area. I saw 1.8% in Thurston County as a projection. I've seen projections of enrollment going up slightly and then improving in 2030. But these are projections. The real world changes things. So we need to deal with this enrollment, but we need to also, it's the state. The state is going to be where our finances are coming from. And right now there's issues that we don't really even know what precisely we will get from the state, because there are, what the state will be doing with opting out with federal dollars. So there's more information that's going to have to be figured out, but we need to work the state to make sure our finances are stable. This is what needs to be done, and it's more long term. Short term, there may be some small things that can be done. There may be fundraising and so forth, but that has limitations. And what we need to do is do better with enrollment. Thank you.
Aimee?
Yeah, I think before asking taxpayers for more, we need to look carefully at how every dollar is being spent. My first action would be to call for a full review of district spending to identify waste, duplication, or non-essential programs that can be streamlined. Our priority must remain in the classroom instruction and student learning, not administrative expansion. I'd also seek to increase transparency so the community can see exactly where their money's going. I think that's super important, and taxpayers want to see that. Families and teachers have to budget responsibly, and our district should have to do the same. So.
Daniel?
Yeah, so this goes back to my top priority about parents having lost confidence in the school district. Parents right now think that they might be part of some national political regressive campaign, like the one that we saw last weekend that tried to be held at Tumwater Middle School, but their facilities request was denied on a technicality. We don't want to be in the national news for the Petri dish experimentation that is trying to been going on this entire year. Instead, we want to just focus on educating. And so all of this regressive talk about trying to remove the 2008 law and policy is just getting us all the wrong attention. And we're seeing that in our kindergarten enrollment. They don't want to bring their kindergartners to a school where they're going to have to say, oh yeah, I go to Tumwater. We exclude people. So when budgeting, when you have to balance a budget, it's important to know what you value. I value public education. I value educating every student in Tumwater. I value our history and the people who choose to make Tumwater our home generation upon generation. My priorities are in the frontline educators, the staff directly involved with students day in and day out. My priorities make sure that they have our support, and if there are cuts to be made, my commitment is that those cuts are never on their backs. Thank you.
Julie?
As others have noted, I mean, obviously, we're facing a budget deficit. I think that we were fortunate that we were able to balance our budget for the upcoming academic year. The district is also fortunate that the state took action in two ways during the legislative session. The state increased the multiplier for special education, and this gets us closer to being able to meet our obligations to provide support and accommodations for all students with disabilities and who have those support needs. The state also lifted the district's levy authority, allowing us to balance our budget without additional cuts. But our budget deficit is structural. It has many moving parts. But enrollment projections, I think there's a lot of agreement among all the candidates that enrollment is key. I believe that in order to increase enrollment, we need to improve outcomes for students. We need to improve academic outcomes. And I think there's a lot of agreement on that among all the candidates here as well. And we need to ensure our schools are places where our students feel safe and where they know that they belong. All of our kids need to know that they feel safe and that they belong. I know as a parent, before I can feel comfortable putting my kid on the school bus and going to a school, I need to know that that's a safe place for my kid. So I think that's a key element to working to increase enrollment.
Melissa?
Hi. So weird to go first on the other one and then go last on this one. I've had a lot of time to think. I want to say we made a lot of cuts last year and it was really difficult. And I've never wanted any of the staff that were cut to feel that they were part of waste or that money was being abused. They were a really important part of our district and they were contributing to our students and their lives. And it was really hard to make those cuts. But we just could not afford to do all of those services anymore. So based on the last round of cuts, the question is what immediate actions? And so what I did was ask for a report from our HR director when there are new hires, that she take the time to explain to us whether it was part of the budget, if it's replacing someone that's currently funded by the budget, if it's required by an individual education plan, or we are getting more money in order to hire that person. That helps a board member really keep track of this. And then as we start building the budget for the 26-27 school year, asking the superintendent to give us data or research that demonstrates that any additional staff will help us make progress on our goals. Finally, the biggest thing that we can be doing is advocating with the legislature, because the reason that we are having these struggles is because they're not giving us enough money to fully fund or to fully educate our students.
Okay, thank you. Question number 3. The resolution passed by the board regarding transgender student participation in sports has generated strong opinions in the community. Although any resolution passed on this topic has no legal standing, as a candidate, what is your perspective on this resolution and how the board should handle such issues?
So as I mentioned before, I am the parent of a student at AG Black Hills High School. My student identifies as LGBTQ. I think many people know I had serious concerns about the WIA resolution that came before the school board in February. Whatever the intent, the impact of that resolution was to make our lesbian, gay, transgender, queer, and questioning students and families feel less safe in Tumwater schools. As a parent, I felt less safe sending my kid to school the next day. In passing that resolution, the board told our families and our staff that they're prepared to violate our state's non-discrimination laws. What other rights for our students would they be prepared to take away? The right to have their pronouns used, the right to use the bathroom that conforms to their gender identity. Our students should not be discriminated against for their sexual orientation, gender identity, or gender expression, period. Research has shown that when states pass anti-transgender laws, suicide rates go up among transgender youth. LGBTQ young people are not inherently prone to suicide. They are prone to suicide because of how they are mistreated and stigmatized. So I believe that we can protect our students' rights without pitting one group of kids against another group of kids. And I think we have an obligation to our students and our families to do that.
Thank you. Mike?
I am personally opposed to the resolution. I am in favor of having the school district be a safe place for all students. That is my personal opinion. I recognize that there will be people that will have different opinions than mine, their personal opinions. That's fine. That's what happens. My biggest issue is using a professional position, using the district position to express your personal opinion. When you do this as a district representative, you are giving the impression that you are speaking for the Tumwater School District. And that is not the case. You're just speaking for yourself. So speaking personally on this issue, fine, but do not do it and by using a Tumwater School District mechanism, because then you're representing the rest of the people and you don't know that they feel the same way as you do. So my feeling on this resolution is I want to see it rescinded. I was not in favor of it, but I absolutely do not want district board members to be using their position to forward their personal opinions. Thank you.
Thank you. Aimee?
Yeah, I believe fairness and safety in girls' sports must be protected. Biological differences matter in athletic competition, and policy should reflect that reality. While the board's resolution may not carry legal force, it represents an important stand for common sense and protecting opportunities for female athletes. As a board member, I would approach such topics with respect and compassion for all students, but I will not compromise on fairness, safety, or truth. 80%, if not more, of our country agrees that biological boys should not be playing in girls' sports or using their bathrooms or private spaces, such as locker rooms, other places where they might be changing, etc. My daughter had an 18-year-old man in her locker room when she was 15 years old. She didn't feel safe that day either. Today, there's a biological boy using the Tumwater girls' locker room, and when her parents took the issue to Principal Suderman, he told the girls' parents that if they were uncomfortable with it, then their daughter could go find a different place to change. This is wrong, and I will do everything I can within the law to fight for our parents and our young girls.
Thank you. Daniel?
Hard work, accountability, super unity, super toughness, being a competitor, and never giving up. These are Tumwater values. The resolution that passed the board ignored these principles. There was no super unity in an attempt to alienate a minority population. There was no accountability when the board shut down in-person meetings because they didn't like the public holding them accountable. There was no toughness when instead of a board member choosing to meet with a constituent, chose to instead file a police report. Where was the hard work to hold public forums or even speak up prior to the vote? Why have so many board members given up on the district by not seeking re-election or pulling their children from the school district? I am personally committed to the Tumwater School District. I am personally committed to holding weekly office hours to meet with constituents. I am personally committed to the hard work, accountability, super unity, super toughness, being a competitor, and never giving up that it will take to represent Tumwater. It was wrong for them to pass the resolution, and it needs to be rescinded.
Thank you. Rob.
My understanding of the role of the board as it relates to the WIA is to be in some ways an advocate for what the rules should be. So I understood the vote to be if there was going to be a resolution passed by the WIAA that the school district, the board would approve it, would follow that. I know it was non-binding and all of that. I have 4 kids. All of them were involved with athletics at the high school, 2 girls, 2 boys. In Washington, there's 2 categories for sports. There's boys sports and girls sports. I don't see it as being discriminatory to have girls play against girls and boys play against boys. I think discriminating against any group for any reason is wrong. It's against the law. It's policy. I understand that. But this resolution was not to minimize any group. It was to protect a group. And so I would have supported the resolution. I'm not for rescinding it.
Thank you. Melissa.
Hi. So first and foremost, I believe our district should focus on issues where we have jurisdiction. This resolution wasn't needed and has taken focus away from the good work happening in our district. I think all of us agree that we should be focusing on academics, and this resolution just took the focus away from that. So it'll be great to be able to get back to it. As an example, during COVID, a lot of parents came to us to advocate to not require masks, to advocate to return to the classroom, to advocate to not be in the classroom, all of these things. And every time they came to us, we listened, but we told them, this is not anything that we can decide. This is something that the State Board of Health decides. This is something the governor decides. And we, pointed them in that direction. So our job is to follow state and federal laws, and we're given quite a bit of latitude to create a system within that works for our students. As I mentioned during the budget question, we go to the legislature to advocate for the budget. And if we disagree with the state law, that is the place to have this conversation, not in a school boardroom.
Thanks, Melissa. Ty.
All right. So obviously I was on the board, as most folks know, when this resolution passed. I want to shed some light on every year. It's usually a consent agenda item, I believe, but it happens every year. We opt into an agreement to be part of the WIA. When we do that, the expectation is that school boards communicate with the WIA, and it's run by the schools, by the districts. The districts propose legislation or resolutions to amendments to the WIA. If enough schools support it, they get put onto this list. At the end of January, this list was publicized. Our superintendent asked the board specifically saying, hey, this might be a little bit of a controversial item. It's one of the amendments that's coming up. Essentially be aware of it and what's your opinion on it and those kind of things. Typically, our athletic directors vote for that. One of our athletic directors said, hey, I feel like this issue is bigger than me. How do we want to vote? And thus it was brought to our attention. So we thought we would be fully disclose the process and put it out for a vote publicly, which is exactly what we're supposed to do to communicate with the WIA. We voted, 3-1 with one abstaining, so 60% of our vote. When all the votes for the entire state and all the different representatives for the WIA voted, it was 59%. So our district was right on par with the rest of the state. And I would say, yeah, we're supposed to communicate for our constituents, and our vote was in line with the rest of the state. So I would say I think we did that.
Thank you. Sarah.
Yeah, there's just a lot been said about this. I guess I'll just also point out that, kind of piggybacking what Ty was saying, that the support wasn't in isolation. It wasn't like Tumwater School District was the only one that weighed in on this. I think over 20, at least maybe even over 25 school districts were in support of this amendment. I've made my position clear that I do support a change to state law that would allow protections for girls' sports. The rule as it is now has affected Tumwater female student athletes in multiple sports over the last 2 years in league competition and all the way up to the state championship. For me, it is an issue of fairness and the true spirit of Title IX. I know it's a national conversation, and I think it should be. I think, when a rule goes into place, we should reevaluate how it's working. And I think this is negatively impacting 50% of our athletes. So, unfortunately, the policy directives are going to come from the state, and we're just going to have to sit and wait it out on that one.
Thank you.
Okay, question 4. The district's 2 mainstream high schools have significant differences in enrollment, facilities, and program offerings. As a board member, how would you work to ensure equitable opportunities for all students, regardless of which school they attend? And Daniel, you're first up on this one.
Yeah, I saw this firsthand. I sent my biological kids to Black Hills, and I sent my stepson to Tumwater, and it was dramatically different. Dramatically different. It's something that needs to be addressed, and I think it's going to take more than just dollars. The 2 high schools are completely different, so we need to do further work to address it. And it could be parent groups, resource allocation, personnel, student transfer policy, etc. I think it's important that in this work that we develop an exhaustive list of current inequities that are currently being seen by parents, by staff, and students, so that the work is being done to evaluate for effectiveness. It's so dramatically different. Even just looking at the lovely PTA meeting I just attended at Peter G was so dramatically different than anything I ever did at Michael T. And I don't understand it, why it's so different, but I do think it's very important that we balance things out better and find ways to bring more equity between the schools.
Thank you. Melissa?
Yes, so my daughter went to Black Hills, and I went to Tumwater, and you can't really compare the two because I won't say how many years apart that was. But and she really enjoyed her time at Black Hills. They have a strong theater department, and she really enjoyed her time. So from the individual level, she enjoyed Black Hills. What I do, so I'm not exactly sure what needs to be fixed or changed, but I really like the idea of bringing our community back together. This is a theme for me, bringing our community back together into one high school. At the time, when they divided up the high schools, I talked to a teacher who was there when that decision was made, and they thought it was a great idea to have more opportunities for students, 2 leads in the school play, 2 starting quarterbacks. But I don't, with the enrollment projections that we have, I don't think we need 2 high schools. I think we need to come back together as one community, and we are the Tumwater community, and then bring it back into one high school. And with that brings the opportunity to build a high school that meets the needs of our students that we have now, not the students when Tumwater was built in the 60s and Black Hills was built in the 90s. Like, our students now are different, and it would be great to have the opportunity to build a school that meets the needs of our students now.
Thank you. Sarah.
Yeah, so this is where I get excited because I'm action oriented and I like to be a problem solver. So I kind of have a 3-tiered response to this issue that starts really with listening, gathering information, and brainstorming. So first, I want to understand how we got here with such an enrollment disparity. I know from talking with former teachers and looking at data that it hasn't always been like this. So I'm thinking, how did we get here? I think will help to know how to turn things around. The next part would be, what immediate actions can we do now? I'd love to hear from teachers and learn their passions, what resources we might need just to expand some course offerings. For example, maybe we have a teacher with welding experience or photography skills that we just aren't utilizing because we don't have the equipment. So I think that there's partnerships to be had that we can bridge those gaps. Also here, parents and students can really contribute ideas. You know, if it's core classes or AP offerings, I really think we got to make this a priority to balance those options. And then the final aspect would be, where do we want to go and how do we get there? You know, what are the bigger projects at Black Hills that we'd like to see? How can we grow that enrollment again? And really, I'd like to see have 2 thriving high schools. But at the end of the day, I feel like this is a we problem. I think it's representative of the district. And so I think we really have to have leadership willing to make it a priority.
Thank you. Aimee.
Yeah, I'll start out by saying that I'm not from Washington. I didn't graduate from one of the high schools, and I don't bleed green, and I don't bleed blue and red. So I have a little bit of a different perspective with this coming from a different state. I believe that every student in our district deserves equal access to quality education, programs, and facilities, no matter what school they attend: Newmarket, Cascadia, Tumwater, or Black Hills. I would advocate for balanced resource allocations and ensure budget and program decisions are guided by data and student need, not politics. At the same time, I believe in celebrating each school's strengths and encouraging healthy competition that drives excellence. I agree. I don't believe we need one school. I think 2 high schools is great, and let's encourage those high schools to be the very best they can, empower the teachers, empower the administration, and empower the students to want excellence for themselves. We need to give all students the tools to succeed, whether they're going to a 4-year university, a trade school, joining the military, or workforce. Not lowering the standards to make outcomes look the same. I think we need to challenge our students, challenge the individuals. It doesn't matter if they're, like I say, where they're going, but give them the tools that they need in the place that they're at right now.
Thank you. Mike?
Yes, I think that there's certainly a question of equity within the school system, and I think it's at all levels. I think it's particularly evident in the high school level. And I think we need to both study and we need to get opinions from the people out there about what these issues are. When I look at it, the first thing that comes to my mind when I look is the disparity of transfers. Now, the Tumwater School District has a relatively easy and exponential transfer system, which is good. And I'd like to see people end up where they want to be. But there is a side to this where the Tumwater High School has a much larger proportion of transfers coming in than the other schools, even accounting for that it is bigger. So I think we need to look because facilities and resources are used differently with these transfers. And while I was told that the transfers will be slowed if a school doesn't have the teachers or resources to handle it, it still has a situation where there may be enough teachers in a school to handle the population coming in, but certain classes will be filled up. And this happened to my granddaughter this year. So the class that she would like to have seen was filled up. So I think we need to take a look at our transfer policy. We also need to look at, I am concerned with the CTE, the career pathways, and what was available being at least temporarily eliminated. And I think that these are selling points and that we need to take a look at how the programs and how the finances are divvied up. So we need a study, and we need also to have a forum where people can come and tell us what their concerns are so we know how to address them.
Rob? Oh, I'm sorry, Julie?
Yeah, it's very interesting to me as I've been out in the community, as I've been talking to people and knocking on doors and talking to voters. I hear more about this issue than almost any other issue that people are concerned about. I think when you have one team that has to forfeit the Pioneer Bowl because they don't have enough players to field a team without risking injuries, when you have another team with lots and lots of kids who are waiting for their chance to play and are on the bench, you have to know that something is out of whack. For me, this gets back to my top priority, which is restoring trust between the board and the school district community. The school board has pledged in the past to look into the transfer policy and whether or not it's being used with integrity. I don't think that that was really a robust process. And it doesn't sound to me like we really had a lot of community process around asking ourselves the question as to whether that or not that's working. I think we need to do that. I also think we need to look at the resource allocation between the two schools. There is an enrollment differential here, and the number the dollars that the two schools have is based upon enrollment. So I think we need to listen to the community on solutions. I don't think we've had a meaningful dialogue on one high school proposal, and so I think we need to be listening to the community and have a more robust process around what does the community want and what's feasible.
Thank you. Rob?
I'm looking forward to communicating with both of those two high schools, Tumwater High School and Black Hills High School, their administration, their teachers, to just understand when we're talking about equitable opportunities, what are we talking about? Because as I understand the enrollment, obviously the enrollment at Tumwater High School is much greater than it is at Black Hills, but the transfer between the two schools is, I think there's only a 20 student difference. So we're talking about, when it comes to transfer students, it seems to me that we're talking about students transferring from other districts into Tumwater, and the majority of them are coming to Tumwater High School. So I think we need to ask the question, why is that? Why are they coming to Tumwater High School? When my kids, were at Tumwater, my brother's kids were at Black Hills, and in our view, it was sort of a healthy rivalry. My parents went to the games where the boys were playing against each other, and my dad wore one color and my mom wore another color. So it was kind of a healthy rivalry, but it doesn't seem to be that way anymore, and I don't know why. So I want to be able to communicate with parents at both schools, administrators, teachers, educators at both schools, to determine what those inequities are and how can we as a board deal with those.
Thank you. Ty?
Yeah, so I've got a unique perspective on this a little bit. Obviously a Tumwater High School graduate myself. I was growing up during the split and when it was built, and I was one of the first classes at Tumwater going through where where we were split up from the other kids that we grew up with. I also had the unique experience of my dad was an educator at Tumwater High School and an administrator there, and then became the first principal of Black Hills. That being said, when I was in school, everyone wanted to go to the flashy new school. They had 200 to 300 more students than us. It was interesting. There was a lot of really good leadership. There was a lot of really good teachers that went there. People liked the shiny new school. And over time, kind of like Robin said, things started to change over time. I've taken this opportunity to talk with teachers, with staff, with administrators, with community members. I'm passionate about having two phenomenal high schools. Black Hills has a special place in my heart, and I do think it's important to have a school. I have a lot of friends. I have family there. I think you're starting to see more and more second generation Wolves coming through. They have a lot of pride in their school. So I think we have to make sure that, and one of the things I've proposed to some of the people I've talked to is, hey, let's have some kind of a town hall meeting about this. Let's get all the stakeholders involved. Let's get all the data out there. Let's find out what's going on, and let's make improvements so we can have two thriving high schools and go from there.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for all of your very thoughtful and thorough answers to our questions today. We are at the end, and so just as the introductions were pretty strategic, the closing statements are strategic too. We're working exactly backwards as we did from our introductions. So our closing statements are going to be 45 seconds per candidate, and the idea is that you just let us know what you want us to remember about you. Rob, let's start with you.
Well, obviously, my main priority has been enrollment. Enrollment in school in Thurston County is not down. Enrollment of students that live in Tumwater is not down, but enrollment in public school in Tumwater is down significantly. And so I think we need to look at what are the reasons why. We need to be interviewing these parents that are choosing to pay for private schools, which are adding classrooms, while ours are having budget shortfalls because people don't want to send their kids there. And the reason I think it is because there hasn't been enough focus on education. There's been too much focus on agendas and ideologies. And so I think we need to get back to teaching kids.
Thank you. Mike?
The budget difficulties that we've had precede any of the more recent difficulties. So there's something deeper than that. And again, I go to communication. We need to communicate to restore the budget. We need to communicate with the state. We need to communicate with the community so that our reputation rebounds. We need this communication on many levels. Again, studies for equity, also open forums so that we can get the input from the community. We need to communicate with everybody involved, students, teachers, educators, parents, families, taxpayers. We need that communication. So right now, that to me is the most important element, is getting to hear from you, from the public, from the people involved. And that's what we need to be listening to so that we can take the issues we have now and turn them into opportunities to be better. Thank you again.
Melissa?
Thanks again, Lisa, for organizing this. It's probably the best organized forum I've been a part of so far. So I'm on the school board because I believe in service to my community. This is not just a job to me, not only because I don't get paid, but because of John F. Kennedy's quote, "For those to whom much is given, much is required." I really do believe in Tumwater, and the strength of Tumwater are the people who believe in it. The educators and staff at Tumwater are important to me, and I would be honored to serve the community of Tumwater for another term. Thank you.
Thank you. Aimee?
Yes, thank you again, Lisa. I would agree with Melissa. This forum has been nothing but professional and very impressive as far as the way you put it together. So I thank you very much for the time. At the end of the day, this election is not about politics. It's about our kids and the future of education in Tumwater. We need leaders who will put students before special interests, education before agendas, and parents back at the center of our schools. I'm running because I believe in academic excellence, fiscal responsibility, and safe, respectful classrooms where students can learn without distraction or indoctrination. Our community deserves schools that reflect our values, hard work, honesty, and accountability. We need to raise up leaders in this community. If you believe it's time to raise standards and support parents and get back to the basics and just common sense thinking, I ask for your vote. Together, we can restore common sense and ensure every child in Tumwater has the opportunity to succeed. Thank you for your time, your trust, and your commitment to our kids. Thank you.
Hi.
Let me unmute myself here. Sorry. Thanks again, Lisa, for putting this together. It's been outstanding. The format, everything's been great. I just want to reiterate, my priorities are include, equitable resources across our schools. I'm a big supporter of all the extracurriculars, thinking more kids involved in more programs equals more success, creating a welcoming environment for all of our students and families. I don't pretend to have all the answers, but as I've shown over the last year, I believe in listening, learning, working together for solutions that serve students first. I'm running because I care. I'm passionate about this district. I'm from here. I don't know that there's anybody that cares more about Tumwater and its community than me. I think I would like to see Tumwater become and get back to its roots of becoming a true destination district that people want to learn. It has leadership and has opportunity. So thank you for everyone, and I hope to have your vote this fall. Thank you.
All right, Daniel.
Right. Yeah, I'm gonna echo a bunch of people. Thank you, Lisa. This is amazing. You managed to get everyone here to conduct this in a very well way. It's been very difficult to get 4 candidates to talk publicly, so thank you for getting them to go on the record. I don't know why they didn't want to show up to the Women's League or anything like that. I think things like this are crucial to communicate with the public, share where we're coming from and what we're about. And I believe that we need to put the public back in public education. Thank you.
Thank you. Sarah.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you everybody for participating. My family and I chose Tumwater to raise our kids and retire because of the sense of community that really centers families and schools. And we love it here. We've spent the last decade serving in this community. I do believe public schools are meant to be diverse places of learning. I just don't think we accomplish much when we focus on our differences. So I think we all want a solid education for the children we serve. And my vision says that let's keep that common mission at the forefront. Let's champion strong academics and parent partnerships so that families feel confident sending their kids to Tumwater schools.
Thank you. And Julie.
Well, I guess I get to close it out, and I will also extend my thanks for bringing this this forum together. I think if we want to increase our enrollment, if we want to improve outcomes for all of our kids, our schools need to be a place where all of our students feel safe and know that they belong. Lately, we're arguing over whether or not LGBTQ students get to feel safe and know that they belong. And that is something that needs to change. So I really appreciate this opportunity for everyone to kind of hear from everyone, and really appreciate the focus on having a good conversation today. Thank you.
All right. Thank you all so much. Thank you for tuning in. If you are calling in online, we are 15 minutes past time, but I do want to just give you a quick reminder. Listen to everything you heard today. Make your decisions based on what you think is best for our community and tell your friends to vote. Thank you so much.